Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit sun making a square, opposition, or inconjunct to one's natal Chiron. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve the sun, it can be about focus, attention, our life, actions, what we want, where we want to shine in. Um, those when and so when you have the transit sun, uh, basically making an adverse aspect to your natal Chiron, a square, opposition, or inconjunct. Excuse me. This could be about our focus, our attention, our life, our actions, what we want. That may conflict with our physical and emotional wounds. We might find at this time that we're trying to, get our life in order, but we're dealing with maybe some psychological trauma. It might be some physical debilitation that we're going through at this time, some kind of emotional wounds, and it's also and also the pain that runs really deep in our lives. If it's in the zodiac sign Cancer, the fourth house, as far as your natal Chiron position goes, it could be some issues with your home, your family, your emotional security at this time. Might be a pain that really is running deep, whether the situation at home may be contentious or what have you, or there's just something that's lacking in your home and family life that's causing some emotional distress. Um, Chiron can be connected with suffering in general, so it may also be a time where what you want to do, might be, maybe there's a blockage in what you want to do. Maybe that's tied in to your suffering or what you have to focus your attention on at this time. Maybe that's either taking precedence with what you're what you're dealing with as far as some kind of suffering in your life, or it could just maybe be the other way, where the suffering that you're going through is causing difficulty in you to focus on things that you feel you really need to do at this time and taking action in certain matters. Now, Chiron is also associated with diminished self-esteem and self-worth. So it might be a situation at this time where you might be where the biological father or a child or even an authority figure may be adversely affecting your self-esteem, your self-worth, how you feel about yourself. Say if your natal Chiron is in Sagittarius, maybe it's something over your religious beliefs, or or maybe there's something in their mind where they don't think you're religious enough, or you don't or there's something about your philosophy that they don't really go with, and maybe they're trying to bring you down because of it, or saying derogatory things in connection with it. um, Chiron is also about where in an aptitude, and it may be where one may be inept in their lives, but it could also be where one just feels certain ineptitude one way or another. And the thing about this is, I mean, say if it's your natal Chiron is in Taurus, it might be matters connecting with persistence, perseverance, making money, generating income. And the thing is, if you have the transit sun, basically making an adverse aspect to the natal Chiron, it can be where what you want to do in your life. Maybe there's something tied in with where you feel inept in, is what's causing complications in doing so. Say, for example, if the transit sun is in the zodiac sign Cancer, and it's making a square or opposition or even inconjunct aspect to your natal Chiron in Aries, it can be that maybe because Chiron is in Aries, there may be some issues with being aggressive or assertive, or taking initiative and action. Might be conflicting with what you want to do as far as your home life goes, if you're trying to make a transition in your home life, or maybe if it's even standing up to family members in something. And it just really those are some things, that's an example how that may manifest and pan out. But the thing about this as well is keep in mind that Chiron is also, on a positive note, is about helping and healing. Chiron is considered the wounded healer. It can reflect ways that we can help others in which we can't help ourselves. And the thing about it is, you might be dealing in some cases, with some issues with the biological father, a child, an authority figure that might be dominating or monopolizing your time, your life, where it makes it difficult for you to do things for others in terms of helping and assisting or healing other people. And the thing about it is too is when you look at this as well. I mean, again, if your natal Chiron, say is an Aquarius, it might be trying to help others, very selflessly, or through some humanitarian efforts or environmental, something with the environment or through computers or electronics or what have you. But the transit sun is making an adverse aspect to it. In that example, it may be more difficult to do so, of course. And also, too, the Chiron can be connected with weakness as well. Where we feel weak, again, it goes back to the ineptitude thing, where we feel inept in our life. It could be that, a situation, might be problematic with the biological father, a child, an authority figure. Maybe it's doing something that's, making our feel like our weakness is even worse, than it might be, or exacerbating it to some degree. Um, if you're, again, going back to, if your natal Chiron is in Aries, that could be about unworthiness to begin with. And if you have, and it might be a situation where you're dealing with some dominant male figure in your life that maybe is really exacerbating that energy for whatever reason, whether they're bringing you down, or they're able to do certain things that you can't, that might be making you feel that way in that example. Now, another way this could manifest and pan out in some cases, this could be about the biological father. It could be a child. May conflict with, again, with the ways you may want to help and heal others, depending on your Chiron placement in your natal chart. It can be, say if your natal Chiron is in Capricorn, it could be some issues where you might be trying to help others improve their stature in life, and by being very, consistent perhaps in doing so, and maybe helping them in some business related matters. But it might be that, again, the biological father or child may have be causing some conflict with this. It could also be, again, going as another example, say if your natal Chiron is in Aquarius in the 12th house, it can be through, maybe the thing that you want to do to help others may be connected with selfless, altruistic, which is Aquarius, helping the less fortunate, which is the 12th house. But you may have difficulties in doing so, more so than usual when you have this transit. Now, another thing too, how this transit can be expressed, it could be a physical issue, which is the sun may present a challenge to deal with, perhaps diminished self-worth and self-esteem, and that, of course, is associated with Chiron. Now, let's say if the transit sun is in Gemini, it could be problems with the hands or the arms. It could be like carpal tunnel syndrome, or some kind of nerve damage may make it difficult to deal. If you're trying to find some way to deal with your depleted self-esteem, it might be harder to deal with that at this point in time, because you're maybe trying to deal with a physical related matter. And say if the Chiron is in natal Chiron is in Capricorn, and that's making an inconjunct, transit sun's in Gemini is making an inconjunct aspect to your natal Chiron in Capricorn. It could be matters connected with your stature in life, your career, the success that you may be trying to attain, and that might be, tied into some kind of depleted self-worth or self-esteem. But if you're having a physical issue, of course, it can be obviously cause more problems in trying to deal with it. So anyway, hold on a moment, people. Now, another thing too, um, also too, this transit may be expressed in a situation with an authority figure, may be more difficult, may be more contentious. It can be due to maybe some emotional suffering or turmoil you may be going through. Now, let's say if the natal Chiron is in Aries in the 12th house in your natal chart. I have that placement, Chiron in Aries in the 12th house. Maybe it has something to do with lacking fortitude and courage, which is Aries, to combat or confront maybe the hidden adversaries, which is the 12th house, people that are maybe pretending to be friends but are really hidden enemies. And it might be, and because of this, it might be, those are things where, you might, those are some ways, you might, for example, in that example I stated, is that the situation with the authority figure may be more difficult because you could be going through your own emotional wounds and suffering at this time. And it, for example, it may not, your mind may not be completely on your work if you're trapped inside yourself and going through your own emotional, crisis or what have you, as an example. And another thing too is that another way this transit could manifest, it could be the vitality and energy, which is the sun, maybe, and even the drive and motivation may cause, maybe you may not have that drive and motivation to cope with the pain in your life that may run very deep, or could simply make it harder to do so because your vitality and energy may be drained, or it could be that pain, that whatever pain that is running very deep in your life, may be causing issues with energy and vitality and make it harder for you to find the drive and motivation to do what you need to do. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.